notes up. Lord have mercy. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, we are live. Today is the 18th. Let me pull those show notes up. Let me grab, as soon as this video connects, let me grab this link so we can put it in our group. Let's see. Oh, okay. YouTube has been definitely working with me this week. I appreciate it because it's wet outside. At least it's not as rainy. It's still wet outside though. Hey, are you gonna let me put
It's
it in
like
the
90
chat?
something degrees here, Shay, and somebody yesterday was complaining. They're like, oh, it's so hot. I'm like, this feels like Mexico. I love
Lord have mercy. All right, we got our link in our community so that anybody that didn't make it in studio, like the ladies in studio did, Teray, Heather, Dr. Toya, Dewana, Debbie, Shawana, and Dr. LaFera are all in studio, but everybody else that didn't make it, we got Glow already over here on the YouTube side. So good morning, Glow. All right, y'all. If you're not in our community and you're a solopreneur or entrepreneur struggling to get to your first six figures in business, you should be a part of our community. We have three pillars in our community. We actually build community. We commune. In fact, we're communing next week on our movie club of the week. So I will be getting out the votes for the movies this week so you can watch it and come and join us for the discussion where we pull out all the business nuggets. So yes, we commune. Number two, we actually collaborate. We get together, we make money together, we make each other's businesses better. And number three, we have conversations that are transformational to your business growth, kind of like this one. So join us over there, shaycannon.info/group. Join the group. All right, let's get started. Good morning. Welcome to Unlock Your First Six Figures Morning Show. I am your host, Shay Cannon, but it all starts with the blog. And this week's blog is at shaycannon.com/build, B-U-I-L-D. I almost spelled it wrong. B-U-I-L-D. More than the Alabama was going to get in the way. The Alabama education was about to get in the way. But that's where you can go for the blog for this week, because what we're talking about is the move from solopreneur to building a team. Okay, the move from solopreneur to building a team. There are different growth stages with your business, right? When you go from from a hobby to really getting serious to really trying to hit big revenue goals. And along the way, you are not going to succeed without building a team. There's only so much you can do by yourself. Okay, so we have what I'm calling 4 phases of building a team. Now, this is not your step-by-step on how to build a team. That is at shaycannon.com/VA. Okay. This is not about managing the team. That is at shaycannon.com/teams, which will also be in the show notes that you can only get in our group right now, shaycannon.info/group. Okay. But I have 4 parts of what we're kind of talking about our phases. First phase was you got to get your mind right. Okay. You got to have a different mindset to go from solopreneur and thinking that it's not, you got to pay too much for a team and things like that. You got to switch that off and switch into a different mindset. That's first. But if you need that replay, which if you missed it, you need that replay. Go back to yesterday's replay. That's part 1. Okay. Today, what we're going to talk about is looking at we're going to start and looking at the different ways you can hire a team. Okay. So let's change your mind. Okay. Now, the number one objection to hiring a team is people automatically think they have to hire somebody full time and they do not know how they're going to continue to pay that person and pay themselves. I'm here to tell you that you can hire people on a project basis. Okay. A per project basis. So this is what you do. You feel like your business has not been set up to win in hiring a team and you scared. Okay, then this is what I want you to do. I want you to hire people based on a project. And what I want you to do is make sure that project is priced where it can hold everything you need for that project, everything you need to pay yourself, and everything you need to pay another person or a team to work on that project with you. See, it tends to be a little easier when you think about it as one thing at a time instead of, the scary version of, oh, I got to pay them every month like I got to pay myself. Let's pay per project. Okay, so let's start looking in our business and seeing what projects need to be done internally and what budget we have to get those internal projects done. Okay, let's look at the external project when our clients come in when we're giving the proposal, right? The proposal needs to be able to hire the team that we need for the project. Okay, so now we're looking at our pricing differently. Now our pricing can hold a team member or 2 or 3 or whatever, right? Because it's part of the project that's being paid for. All right, so per project. All right, so here are some things that you can use to start building your team per project. Align your project budgets with your team costs, which what I already said. Okay, hire for specific roles and specific expertise needed for that project. Okay, we're only looking at a bubble of a project. That's easier. Set clear goals and expectations of that role during the project. Okay, you hired them for a reason. They're supposed to have a specific output, and that's what's going to make the money you spend on them for the project worth it. That's the return on investment. Okay. Utilize short-term contracts, all right? And we're going to be detailed in those contracts, what we expect them to do, even some timelines in there, okay? Also, the results we expect, okay? So we're putting it all in the contract with the team that we're hiring to make sure it's aligned with the project that we were hired and contracted to do, all right? We're going to leverage freelance platforms and networks, okay? We'll talk more about that later. We're also going to evaluate performance and the fit, okay? So we talked yesterday, you can test these people before you officially hire them, okay? You can test them with questions. You can test them with test projects, things like that, okay? Remember back in the day, before you could be hired, when you came to fill out your application, you had to take a typing test. Y'all remember that? You can test people before you hire them. You didn't have to wait until you paid them and they got into the seat and they sitting over there typing with their index fingers. You didn't have to wait to find that out, okay? You were able to test them. So it's very easy for you to come up with tests that they can take before that you hire them, or a test. Now, I'm going to tell you, it is not fair to test a graphic artist with something that you could use. That's you using their work. So that's when you would pay for the project, okay? But seeing what their skill level is in Excel, or seeing what their skill level is by asking some questions about automation, that is not taking a work product from them. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing you can do in your business with their test results with that. So be fair, be in integrity. When it comes to, should you pay them for the test, or should they just do this test for free before you hire them? I love doing some of the tests before I even interview. That knock out some people that would take up my time in a day trying to interview. All right. So just think back, because back in the day, baby, them typing tests, those Excel tests, they just asked you questions that if you didn't answer that question, they knew you were not proficient at Excel. Okay. So we can do the same thing now. We can build relationships for future collaborations, right? We was talking to Shawana yesterday, and Debbie yesterday, and Dewana yesterday, about ongoing projects that they have that they might need to keep a pool of people that they work with, right? So as you work with people and you build this pool, you now have people you've built relationships with and that you've collaborated with. You don't have to depend on one person every project. You have a pool of people, all right? Now, that was all from the blog. Let's go, because we do more on the morning show for you ladies. So let's go more deeper into projects. Okay, aligning project budgets with your team costs. Okay, now I want you to listen out for which one do you think will be the hardest for you to implement? Okay, because we're going to help you overcome that obstacle. Okay, so ladies in studio, listen out for which one you think would be the hardest. Okay, even if it's not hard, out of the ones we're giving out today, which one is the hardest for you? Okay, the first one again was align budgets with team costs. So when you accept new projects, we kind of talked about this already, ensure that your pricing includes the cost of hiring additional team members. This means that instead of y'all just throwing out proposals with these numbers y'all done pulled out y'all ass, you actually gotta plan it out. Who do you need? Okay, what is the range that is a fair pay for that? Because guess what? You just coming in low, nobody might not want to be hired for that. Okay, consider, do you need a skilled worker or a doer? Do you need a thinker? Do you need a decision maker? Because the more you go up that ladder, doer, thinker, decision maker, the more money they cost. So now you got to think about what type of person you need so you can put in the right amount so that you can attract the right people. It is no different than corporate America. When we were in corporate America, we're not trying to get hired by the corporation that pays the least amount for what we do. We're trying to find the one that pays the most for what we do, or at least a fair wage for what we do. Okay. So just because we're now the business owner and we feel like we can't afford certain situations, that's your problem. That's not the problem of the talent pool. Okay. So make sure you're pricing this stuff right so that you actually attract the right people. All right. This proactive approach helps you manage expenses and ensures that the project budget covers all necessary resources. Okay. All necessary resources. I have right now somebody working for one of my clients who is recognizing that the project they took on at the price they took it on is barely covering the price of their team. I don't know what to tell you. You already signed this contract. You do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you because you're in this contract now. And when we have not allowed any more funds, we allowed you to set the price for your project. Okay. And we ain't paying you no more. So sorry, you're going to do it at a loss. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what our budget now is. So that's what you have to have the forethought to think about. Is this really all I'm going to need for this project? Think it out. You're the expert. You can't expect for your client to say, oh, you sure that's enough? Who the hell gonna say that? Nobody, right? So you got to do the planning. You got to think it through. All right, let's go to the next one. Hire for specific roles and expertise. Again, we want to attract good talent so that we have good support, okay? I'm going to tell you, getting into this cheap labor thing, I mean, that helps us get over the hump of actually hiring somebody, but you also have to recognize that their work product, okay, is going to be a part of your reputation with your clients and your customers. So somebody lower price may fit in your budget, but their know-how, does it fit into your reputation? All right. So what we need to do is identify the specific roles and the specific level of expertise. You can definitely hire doers, but you now have to compensate for that by giving more of your time. Okay. More of your time to train, more of your time to check in with quality assurance, more of your time to answer questions. That has to be a part of it. Okay. If not, you need to hire somebody where you can prep them on the project and work with them. Okay. To make sure that their expertise is applied in the way that you want it applied, but they have the expertise to do the baseline stuff. Higher price though, right? So this might include hiring freelancers and contractors, okay, with specialized skill sets to complement your own. So whether it's a graphic designer for a marketing campaign, a developer for like a software project, an assistant for just one project, right? Because sometimes we just need somebody to do little stuff for this project so we can focus on the big stuff, right? Okay, so think about it like that. Now let's talk about freelancers and contractors. If you don't know, there are different platforms you can get these people on. We're going to talk about that more, I think, tomorrow, the platforms and stuff, but project by project. Okay, if you need expertise, you need to hire for the expertise. Look at the specific roles that you need, not just what you would need in a whole business. What are the specific roles that you need for this project? All right, set clear expectations and goals. All right, we're going to establish your KPIs. I cannot talk about that enough when it comes to teams, because a lot of you have done everything else right, except for you don't have KPIs, which can make everything wrong. KPIs, key performance indicators. How do they know they're successful? Okay, what is the indicator that they should be going toward as a goal that says they are a success? And it's not the step-by-step how-to. That's another place we go wrong. Let me give you the same example I give you every time. When we hire somebody to be let's say a appointment setter for sales, okay? We tell them in the step-by-step that they need to do 100 calls a day, right? And so guess what? Their goal is just to tick off a list and get through 100. That's now their goal. If that's all you told them, there's their goal. But guess what? That has nothing to do with our end goal. Our end goal is for them to actually set appointments that we can make sales off of. That's the real end goal. So you have to go back and you give them the reasoning behind it, right? Tell them the expectation. My expectation is that you make 100 calls a day, that will garner 10 appointments a week, which will garner at least one sale. You see how that now brings us to our goal, and now that changes their goal. They're not just trying to tick off 100 calls a day. They're trying to talk to these people to make sure that they're good matches and make sure that they're setting at least, 10 appointments to make sure that those 10 appointments, at least somewhere in that 10, somebody's going to buy. That is different. KPIs make it different. It makes it worth your money. It makes you get that return on investment. Okay. So clear communication. A lot of y'all don't have your SOPs set up, and you give this little raw dog simplicity training and think that they got it. They don't. I don't care how clear it is to you. They don't. I don't care how smart they are. I don't care how much experience they have. It's a process. They're most likely not going to get it right the first time, right? Most likely. Sometimes you got special stuff. Like me and Dr. Toya, we kind of think alike, right? When I give her stuff and she give me feedback, I don't even really have any more questions because I understand exactly what she said, right? But she still had to give feedback. That didn't make me dumb. That didn't make me not good at my job. None of that. That makes me going in her process to make it the way that she wants it, right? But my expertise makes that easier on her. She ain't going back and forth 75 times, right? That is the pure joy of hiring somebody with a skill set. All right. But we still have to set clear expectations. Dr. Toya said, hey, don't break my name up. I like Dr. LaToya Davis on the same line, baby. Don't be breaking my name up. Do you know who I is? Okay. And guess what? I ain't say shit. I said, okay, let's make sure that's not broke up. Every time we mention that name, let's make sure that that's not broke up. Because guess what? Shay Cannon don't like her name broke up either. Okay. In fact, Shay Cannon started putting a line in between the apostrophe and the C in Cannon because y'all be calling me Shay Cannon like that's my whole first name. So I get it. I get it. Right. But you learn these things, whether you're a skilled person or not. So expectations and goals are important. All right. Let's move to the next one. Y'all too tickled. Okay. Utilize short-term contracts. All right. Just because you're hiring somebody on a project basis does not mean you do not need a contract. It definitely means you need a contract. Yes, ma'am. They be calling me Shakanan. Because see, y'all be out here, let's go on a tangent right quick. See, y'all be out here putting these unnecessary apostrophes in the children's names. And so now they don't know what to do. So I can't really blame them when they see Shay Cannon like that. And they be like Shakanan or Shannon. I don't know where they be getting it all from, but baby, they be messing me up. Okay, let me focus. Okay. Utilize short-term contracts. Okay. The shorter the term, the less time they have to give you the goal that you want. So you want to put things in place contractually that increases the chance you're going to help them meet the goal. What do you exactly want from these people? When do you want it? How do you want it? Put it in the contract. Okay? Put it in the contract. So engage team members on a short-term contract with specific project-specific agreements. Okay? This approach provides flexibility. It allows you to scale your team up. When I say flexibility, I'm talking about in your business, not flexibility with them in the contract. All right. It allows you to scale your team up or down based on the project and the project's demands. That way you're not paying a whole team to work on something that thing coming in cannot even pay for a whole team. All right. Shawana said, yes, they do. When I talk about her, that's what they say. Yeah, baby, they be jacking my name up. All right. Next thing, leverage freelance platforms and networks. I guess we're getting into it this time. So utilize freelance platforms and professional networks. So like Deborah says, she says she likes to work on referrals, right? We all love to work on referrals because you've done the work for us. So as soon as we hear you using a graphic designer that's actually getting something you like, we like, hey, who that is? Can you share her contact information? I want to talk to her too, right? Because we feel like at least you've done at least initial part of the work. I know I might still have to train her on what I like, but at least she producing something that look halfway decent. Whereas these new people coming in, I don't know what they got going on, right? So we all prefer our network to give us referrals. However, there are platforms out there. You got Upwork, you got Fiverr, and today's Fiverr is not your granddaddy's Fiverr. There are actually professionals on Fiverr now. They just ain't $5, okay? So there are actual professionals on there. You can go on LinkedIn. You can go to freelance.com. There are so many places you can go. There are even places that are specific to the role. For example, if you need a graphic designer, you can go to 99 Designs and have more than one person bid on your graphic design with their attempt at doing it. Okay, so there are different places you can go now. So there's no excuse. There are a whole bunch of VA agencies out there that will allow you to hire for a project basis. Okay, so we have plenty of networks platforms out there. Next thing, evaluate performance and fit throughout the project. Continuously, we should be evaluating the performance and the fit of that team member. This means you need to bake into your timeline times where you're checking on what they're doing. See, what a lot of y'all are doing is because you hired somebody else and you paid your good earned money for them, you don't want to check back in before it's time to give it to your client. And guess what? That's why you're sitting there doing it yourself, because you ain't checked in before then. Now you don't have enough time to give them feedback for them to give you something else, right? So bake into your project timeline times where you're checking in to review work. Okay, times where you're checking in to give feedback. Y'all already know I hired my son to be my video editor, and baby, we set up the project, and I'm thinking I got all these timelines where I'm gonna check in or whatever, and baby, I didn't check in some of those things when I was what I was supposed to, and that thing turned into a mini version of me and was like, you're not following the process, and this is what we say. Oh, who are you talking to? But yes, we need that to be a part of the process to check in, because if you're not checking their work, right, they don't know if they're doing well, and they don't like that. Okay, y'all love running to the Philippines to get VAs, but do you know about the Filipino culture? They like to know they're doing a good job. You have to tell them that. You can't even expect them to solve problems because you haven't given them enough information on what you like and what you don't like, right? It can't just be the first thing that you said. You have to check back in and reinforce, all right? So next up, build relationships for future collaborations. Now, don't get so stuck on one graphic designer. What I love about projects is it allows us to bring in other people in the same roles, right? So yes, I might have used my favorite graphic designer on this project, but the next project, I want to use another graphic designer. And the next project, I want to use another one. So guess what? When I actually make it to the point where I can hire full-time, I know exactly which one I want, because I've worked with a pool of them. When I have a project where I need more than one, I already know who I want to bring in based on the relationships that I have built. Okay. When I was working for my client that did beauty product development, we used different graphic designers. I intentionally used different ones. And because of that, I knew who was good at the girly looking products. I knew who was good at products that had a lot of color. Because one girl, she tended to only use pastel colors. She was just girly. So her creative brain, all the fonts she used were very loopy and script. Well, that don't work for every project, right? So and then you got the ones that are, some of them are really good, but their personality is hard to work with. Maybe I can only work with you on short-term stuff, or maybe I just got to get my mind right if it's long. You find these things out by working with different people, right? And the different people with the different attitudes and different work product, even though they may be in the same role, can be great for specific types of projects. All right. So let's go through that without all the extra. Align your project budgets with your team costs. Hire for specific roles and expertise. Set clear expectations and goals. Utilize short-term contracts. Leverage freelance platforms and networks. Evaluate performance and fit. Build relationships for future collaboration. All right. So which one of these do you think will be the hardest for you to do? And we're going to start with Dr. LaFera. Which do you think is the hardest?
Well, the hardest probably for me to do is, well, out of utilizing short-term projects and leveraging freelance, I've done those. Let's see, maybe the evaluating performance and fit. I haven't done that when I work with people before. I've done it, but I haven't done it the way that you talked about doing it. Yeah. And I like what you talked about, bringing them in on a per project basis. So I'll be doing that different this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. LaFera. Glow, we know you're over here on the YouTube comment side, so feel free to let us know which one you think would be the hardest for you to do. Shawana Kennedy, which one do you think is the hardest for you?
Well, I honestly don't like the word hard. For me, sometimes it can be an adjustment. Okay, right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, I have to agree with Dr. LaFera. It's the whole performance and fit piece, because it's not that it's hard, it can be time consuming and sometimes frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I feel that way, like she does, because it's not that I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what you did say about the Filipino people, because I have noticed that in my experience.
Yes.
The praise is very, 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 very important. And it's really, like you said, the pool. So I'm all about the pool of people, and that is what I need in my life right now. So I can't wait for you to give us these other resources so I can jump in this pool. Amen. I rest.
Yes. And there are even face groups that have assistants and marketing specific people and graphic design specific people. So there are different places you can go to create your pool, right? Another thing is the Filipino people are not the only ones that are like that, right? You have to get into certain generations are like that, right? Our, millennial generation, if you're not giving them feedback so they know that they're doing a good job, they're less likely to keep going with the same fervor they had when they were first hired, right? If you're looking for innovation, well, you're less likely to get that from an older graphic designer than you are a newer or younger graphic designer. And it's not that you can't get it. It's just that you're less likely because they're stuck in the indoctrination of, hey, it got to have, 3 columns and three rows in the graphic, and then it needs to be centered. And okay, well, guess what? We're in an age now where we like things off center, right? So that we can use this space for words and things like that. So you have to take different things into consideration. But you don't have to know it all. You just have to be ready. Again, bake into your mind and into your process that there are going to have to be different points in the process of feedback. And so if you make that a part of it, it no longer becomes as frustrating, because the frustration usually comes out of, I didn't think I was going to touch this shit again. I hired you, so I didn't have to do this. You know what I'm saying? That's where the frustration is coming from, because that's what you think. So you have to not think that way and understand that that happens over time, right? People think about, even when you're in relationships and you have your children, you're raising your children. It takes a while for them to do their chores the way you actually want them done, right? It takes a while for them to take your instruction without them coming up with their off the wall interpretation of your instruction. Jesus. Okay. Even when you have friends, right? You have different kinds of friends because some of them are in tune with you and some of them are not. Okay. There are going to be some friends that you tell more about yourself and more about what's going on, and some friends that, they're more of an associate. They're just good for the good time. I ain't telling you my business though, because I don't feel like that we are on the same wavelength right now. I don't feel like that you're what I need when I need stuff like that. Okay. So it's all a process when we're dealing with humans, period, in every position. Dewana said, that's what I'm going to say about praise. Everyone loves validation. Yes, yes. I even do ChatGPT. I told y'all, when ChatGPT turned into Skynet and started killing people, I'm going to be killed last because I talk to ChatGPT very nicely. Thank you. That's awesome. That's great. Do you think you could? I could not have done better than that myself. But what do you think about this? That'd be my conversation with the chatster, because he going to come and get y'all talking to him like he crazy. He ain't gonna get me. Or if he gonna get everybody, he gonna get me last. Or maybe he'll let me be queen of the humans. Look, Shokanen, Queen Shokanen. Okay. Whatever. Dr. Toya is now over here on our YouTube comments. She said, after the last time you did the show about building team, I have adjusted. I now have one full-time VA and one that is it's a heart in a way, my team on project basis for launches and rollouts. Yes. She said, my social media person, I rolled into my full-time VA's role, but I took the information you gave and was very clear about what I needed and informally creating SOPs. It's been great. Awesome. I'm telling y'all, look, I'm telling y'all what I know. I'm not even guessing at this thing. I've had to manage teams. That's what I do as a fractional COO. I don't sit there and make SOPs. In fact, I hate making SOPs. That's why I created a GPT that does it for me, right? So if you're the person that wants somebody to come into your business and just organize it with SOPs, that's not me. I have a contact that I bring in to do that. I actually manage stuff. I'm in the thick of things. These are the things I've learned from actually managing teams, okay? So awesome, Dr. Toya. All right, let's go to Miss Debbie. Miss Debbie, which one of those you think would be the hardest for you to implement?
I think hiring project base, because if I find somebody good, I want to make sure that I keep that person. And, you know, sometimes people are busy with other projects and they're not available. So
Yes.
I kind of run the risk of losing the person, not getting the person I want if, you know, I do projects. So
I love that.
But-
So I'm gonna tell you a secret. The whole day was about projects, but what I think you're talking about is the last one, which is build relationships for future collaboration. So what you're gonna have to do is be open to bringing in different people on projects so that you can now build an army of that same role and look at it as, like I said, who is best for different projects, right? Because when you're only picking one person, then you're subjected to their strengths and their weaknesses. And even though you like them, and even though they've done well, they do have some weaknesses. Whereas if you're taking projects as an opportunity to bring in different people in the same roles, now you can use those strengths and weaknesses to your benefit. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about, you know, being stuck on one and, oh, I can't work with this person. Let me find somebody else. No, look at it differently. Let's say, oh, I love working with her because she's great at this, but this is now my opportunity to find somebody that's also great at this because she don't really do so well in that area, even though she's awesome, right? So look at it like that. And on a project by project basis, purposefully and intentionally bring in new people so that you create that pool to pull from. So look at it like that. All right, Debbie?
okay.
She like, I still like my
Okay.
person. She like, but I still like my person. I understand, but your business will thank you, right? And
Okay.
later along the lines, you'll be more thankful. Because again, it does, I mean, again, let's go back into Teray's old area of relationships, right? When we pick a man and he's our favorite all day long, we pick him, but we're picking him despite his weaknesses. We're picking him despite some of the things that he got going on that don't fit the list. Right? So before you get married, you should be dating multiple. Well, I don't know if this goes with Teray, but you should have experienced different people so that you can definitely know what you want and know what your threshold is for what you cannot do without, right? That doesn't come from dealing with the same person every time. That comes from dealing with different people in the same role over time. All right. So it is actually a good thing. All right. Dewana, what is the one? Dr. LaFerra said a whole sermon. Look. Y'all know Shakanan can preach every now and then. Dewana, which one do you think is going to be the hardest for you?
Reverend Dr. Bishop Shakanan.
They be jacking it up, baby.
So, yeah, this project that I just am finishing up with my Harry has taught me a lot, and it has been truly a blessing because what I now know is that I need to I should hire people on a per project basis. And you told me that last week, which went bing. And then, so now what I'm learning, what I'm figuring out is how to price that, because I priced it for me. And as I'm going through it, and even though I made good money on this project, I'm like, I would have needed to bump that price up a little bit just to be able to hire another person for this project. Yeah. So this was a great learning experience. It's manageable. Yes. It's just a tank, you know, but I'm managing it. So this was a great learning experience.
And I think it really helps us to, when we pick different people for different projects, it really helps us to understand that when we're looking at somebody to fulfill a role, and we're not looking at having different people fill the role at different times, we're really hard on that one person, right? Again, dipping into Teray's old area, when you looking to date to marry, you might be hinging all your hopes and dreams on this one person, which is why it's hard for you to find somebody. Like what the world? But if we start to learn about different people in the role, even the person that has the fewest strengths, we can find a way to work with them, right? for example, with Dewana, as she's working with different people that helps her in different ways, she might, encounter somebody who ain't good at nothing but cutting up the vegetables, right? But then there might be a project where she needs somebody that can be fast with cutting them damn vegetables. And guess what? Now that person is great for the project, right? So I'm not going to start talking about the relationships because I'll go all off course and they get rated R. But I'm just saying certain men are good for certain things. And so if you're not married yet, then maybe you want to go ahead and get that done. Is what I'm going to say. All right, Teray, which one do you think is going to be hardest for you when hiring teams on a project basis?
What I will say about the relationships is that I keep getting women in my inbox because, I still have the group. And they are frustrated because I keep encouraging them to go on dates. And what they keep thinking is that whenever they go on the date, he should be number one. I thought I picked well, and this is what's wrong with him. And what I keep telling them is that they have to date the idiots. That's what I keep telling them. You have to date the idiots, because in order for you to choose the right guy, you have to know what you don't want. Every guy that you meet is gonna have good qualities, but you have to know the difference between the guys that you date that has good qualities and the guys that the guy that has all of the qualities that you need. And the guys that you date are not going to, exactly, Dr. LaFair, you have to kiss a lot of frogs. Don't kiss all of them frogs. But I'm just saying, you got to date the idiots. So in order to get to the right guy, you have to keep dating. So what keeps happening is women keep dating guys and they're like, that was frustrating. I know he's not the one. I'm going to stop dating because it's on my nerves. You have to keep dating them so that you can recognize Mr. Right whenever you find him, but you won't recognize him until you keep dating the wrong guys. And that's the same thing with what Shay is talking about. You have to keep hiring these people on a short-term basis so that you know what you like and what you don't like, so that you can have a pool to choose from. So that's what she's talking about.
Yes.
So yeah. So all that to say that I agree with Shawana whenever I say, I don't really look at this. I don't like that word hard, like all of this, which one is the hardest. But I also agree with Deborah that, what I mean? Like, I don't want to choose. What I would say is, looking at this list, which I keep pulling up, is that the hardest thing for me is implementing everything. To me, that's the hardest thing, because it's not that any of these is the hardest per se. The hardest thing is making sure I include all of this, because the tendency for me is to want to pick 3 or 4 or 5 things and say, make sure I do these things. But the truth is that I need to be able to implement all of them. So to me, that's the hardest thing.
Well, what I'll tell you is the great thing about this list for the obstacle that you said is these things happen at different times, right? So a lot of this happens in your planning phase, right? So aligning the costs with what you actually need, figuring out the specific role, the contract part, what platform to pull them from. Most of that happens, beforehand. So you don't, it's kind of a checklist of getting ready. Now, when you have them in the role, you can kind of be evolving those expectations and the goals. You can kind of be evolving performance and fit and how you're building relationship and collaboration. So it at least kind of splits it a little bit so that you're only focusing on some of the stuff before, some of the stuff, during, and maybe the fewest after. So that helps a little bit. But yeah, so we just make it a part of our process to create checklists, have our forethought of what is the journey we're taking somebody through as we're hiring them for the project, and making sure we're infusing these things along the way. So that makes it just a tad bit easier.
No, what I'm saying is that if we didn't have this morning show and you didn't give us this list and we didn't have you here to coach us through this, then we would miss 1 or 2 or 5 of these things, and we wouldn't have this. And then we would be in the thick of things trying to do this on our own, and we wouldn't have it. And we would get in the middle of
out why it's not going
trying to figure out why it's not working. And what I'm saying is that we're happy to be on the morning show to have this coaching from Shakanan.
Y'all, look, it became, do y'all remember when I used to have my whole name down here? Do y'all notice I no longer have my whole name right here? No, you will not be calling. I would not aid you in that silliness. Too funny. Dr. Toya said, I've been able to build a great group of people off of Fiverr for my book publishing company. I went in with the intention of having 3 people per role. Each person has their own strength and I can change or switch up, basically, right? Glow said, that's what I was thinking as well, implementing everything. So she's agreeing with Teray. Cool beans. Heather, what you got?
So the 2 copy editors I work with, they're doing, they're not actual employees, they're contract, right? So that's per project basis anyway. So I feel like they already kind of fit into the framework that you've outlined here.
Yeah, I mean, I had to start you out with thinking project because otherwise you wouldn't have hired nobody. Because at first you didn't think you needed nobody. I was like, look, there will come a time where you have a project where you will find that you will benefit from someone's help and you just price them as a part of the project and you'll be fine. So yes, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. So, but what also helped is that one of the copy editors I'm working with, she actually started her business last year. And her name is Taja Ware, and she's amazing. She's Crystal Turner's daughter. Anyway, I asked her, I said, how do you price your proofreading services? And it was based on her pricing that allowed me to understand I can absolutely afford to have this help because they're not doing the heavy lift. I'm still doing the heavy lift, but I'm not doing like
all of it.
I'm not doing all of it, right? So I can still pay them to do what they do and still keep most of the money for myself, right? So when so I feel like I already am fitting all of this in. I think what is I don't have like a formal process for evaluating performance and fit. I just feel like they do, right? Like they're doing a great job and they fit. Like that.
So
but
then you go back to what like Teray said, right? Just like when you're dating, you need to make a list of the things that you feel like make them fit.
Yeah.
So anytime you can't come up with a list of what works, right? It's best when we come up with a list of what works. But when we don't have a list of what works, we start with what doesn't work. Yeah. But these ladies have things that work. You need to write that list down. What makes them work? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So now we're looking for that in other people.
Yeah. They're really, really good. And so I'm very fortunate. So
I will tell y'all, as we are hiring people on a project by project basis, one thing we need to make sure that we do is make sure that the people that you're putting in your pool of talent, make sure to tell them that if they raise their prices to notify you immediately. Okay, because I have had a project to where I priced my project based on somebody's pricing, and then when I went to engage them, they had gone up. So I had to engage them anyway and lose some of my profit margin because I did not know that they took their prices up, right? So as you're building these relationships, make sure that you tell them that your goal is to work with them more often and to please let you know when their prices have gone up, or it's going to be your understanding that their price is the same. Right now, that don't mean that they're going to let you hire them at the same price anyway, but you do want to just at least ask for the courtesy of, me being a partner that brings business to you. Please give me the consideration of letting me know when your price increases. Right. All right. Any questions about hiring on a project by project basis, or any more value adds? Because I have done everything on my list for more. Yes, I have. As a reminder, y'all, if you want the step-by-step on hiring, that's at shaycannon.com/VA. If you want tips on actually managing teams once you get them, that's at shaycannon.com/teams. And that will be in the show notes, y'all. What you got, Dr. LaFera?
So at what point do you let them know that you are hiring, like on a project by project, but like when you first started talking about this, you were talking about like giving people things to do, and like you were talking about like paying them not in their field of expertise, but like getting them to do something that wasn't in their field of expertise, so that you wouldn't take their thing that they are really known for and just use it without paying them.
So wait. So let me bring clarity to that part. So
Yeah,
it's-
because I'm not clear
no,
about that.
so I didn't say paying them to do something that was not in their field of expertise. I said, when it comes time to test them, right?
Mhm.
And they have some fields, they can't do a test of their expertise without creating a product for you that they would get paid for. You see what I'm saying? So you can't test a graphic designer without giving them a design to build, right? Or to create. And it's not fair to have them create something for free that you could possibly use. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to things like that, when you want to go that far, then you need to be able to pay for one graphic. You know what I'm saying? Even though you may be hiring them to produce 20 graphics down the line. How much is one graphic so I can get you to test? Now, there is another way to test them. It's just not asking them to do what they do for a living for free as the test. And that is, hey, show me your Canva. Hey, how do you add different layers? Hey, what different platforms are you an expert on? And can I see, inside of that platform, how you created something? You see what I'm saying? So what we don't want, you don't, how much for one reel? Go away, Shawana. Shawana crazy. But that's correct, right? We don't expect them to cater a whole dinner just to see if they're good at catering. You see what I'm saying? We don't do that. Now, if you want to hire a caterer, right, and then you want, as a part of the fact that you've already hired them, have them to have a tasting for you, then there's still an amount that comes with the tasting. They're not going to buy all this food and use their labor to cook this food for you to taste because they've done a work product. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if that changes the question or not, but I felt like clarity had to be brought to that part of it, because it's not testing somebody in something that's not their area of expertise. It's watching the expertise that you're testing and how you're testing. We want to be in integrity. We don't want nobody to do us like that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, give them something small to see if they really know what, they know how to, what they're doing, what you're about to hire them for. Yeah. Got it.
Exactly. And again, back in the day, that was easier. A part of your Excel test might have been they gave you some jumbled up stuff and told you to sort it a certain way. You know what I'm saying? But that's just a test document. It most likely is not a document that you need in your business for real. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. But hopefully that helps. Cool beans. All right. Anybody else have a question or a tip to give as far as the project-based hiring and project basis? Or we can go backwards to yesterday when we talked about mindset. Shifting our mind on how we're thinking about hiring teams, right? For me, in my fractional COO services, I don't have to have a team for that service because I require that my clients have a team that I manage, right? I'm not hiring people that's going to work for you. You need to have your own team, and I come in and manage it as a part of my service, right? So yeah. All right. Well, that seems like that's it. So think about questions tomorrow, but tomorrow we're going to talk about split time. Okay. Split time. A team member that has split time, so they might work for you routinely, not project by project, but they split in their time. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow as the next graduated phase. So y'all have a great day.